Okay, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and keep going here. I just got briefly interrupted for a second. All right, so as I said, make sure you make 3 times the rent here. And as you can see here, with this particular home, I think this is the house here. You have to make sure you can afford this house. So it's not just $950 a month that the landlord's going to consider. They're going to want to make sure you can definitely afford the house, and they want to make sure that you know with without a shadow of a doubt that you make 3 times the rent so you can afford the place. So I just want to make sure you guys are hip to it. A good thing on Zillow is to make sure you read the description so that you can see what's involved in the house. And also definitely be looking for if you have to have a specific credit score. I have found that you have to have at least a 600 credit score in order to be able to get a house. That's very important for you guys to know if you're going to be trying to rent a house and stuff. Even if they don't say it, they will want you to have at least a 600 credit score. Okay. So definitely be aware of that, okay? Okay. So I think I've showed you guys kind of enough of Zillow about how it works and things, like how you can find rentals in your area. You guys can play around with, the price of the rental, how many bedrooms, the type of house, type of home type you're looking for and all that. So you can definitely play around with that and stuff. And like I told you with Zillow, you could choose from for rent homes to for sale homes and stuff like that. We changed it there, so it's definitely a bit different. Okay, you can even choose from places that sold and stuff, so you can see that as well. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's go back to our handy dandy Word document here. Okay, so I showed you guys where to look to find homes for rent, and I kind of walked you through how to kind of filter your results between Craigslist and Zillow. I know I spent a lot of time, but for somebody who's new to it, they really may want somebody to kind of hold their hand and show them like how to do it. If you guys have any questions about that, you can definitely comment below, and I can kind of answer your questions about like Craigslist or Zillow in terms of like if you're looking for a place and stuff. If you want to know more information or have any questions for me about like what I did when I was looking for a house and stuff. So you can definitely comment below and I'll answer your questions and address your comments if you have any. Okay? All right, so I showed you where to look. Okay? Let's remember you can look for a house for rent on Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, driving around a neighborhood, or you can look on under rental sites. You can ask people in your family if they know any places for rent for houses, or you can ask friends or acquaintances at work and stuff. So you can ask people, and stuff. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about the other aspect here of how to find a house for rent. Let's talk about the aspect of know where you want to live, the city or zip code. The reason why I say this is before you can even think about trying to find a house anywhere, you need to know where you want to live. So if you know you want to live in a specific city, then you want to, like if you're looking on Zillow or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or any other sites, you want to make sure you look for rentals in that particular city so you can find them. Okay. Another thing is you may want to set alerts on websites so you can see the results for the type of housing type you're looking for to pop up during your search for a house for rent. So you might want to do that. But knowing the location you want to be in is important. Okay. Now, you can also look, in a broad area. Like I live in St. Louis because St. Louis is a big area, but there's a lot of cities in St. Louis. Even though St. Louis is a city, it's a big city, and there's a lot of other cities in it. So when I was looking for a place, I was looking at different cities that I thought would be desirable to live in. And then I finally settled on a particular city inside of the city where I'm at. And then that's how I kind of narrowed down where I wanted to live. And in a particular city that you want to live in, there might be a lot of options for houses to rent, or there might be a small amount. That's why I say you want to set alerts, just so you can, when a house pops up in that area and it has that right price that you're looking for, then you want to make a move on it and set up a time and a date to look at that house. Okay. And it's also good if you have a significant other, then it's really good for you if you guys are going to be moving in together. It's good for you guys to both go, so you can make sure both of you guys, if you're going to be moving in together, then you know that the house is what you guys both are looking for. Okay. Zip code. You can also look for a house by zip code. I'm going to show you here on Zillow real quick. So with Zillow, what you can do, I'm just going to type in a zip code here. So I typed in a zip code. Zillow said there was no matches for a home in that zip code. And then it just brought up some other results because at least it's trying to show me something. So for rent, there's not any options in the zip code I typed in St. Louis, but there might be some options for sale. So let's see if there is. Ooh, looky here. There is options for homes for sale, but not necessarily some for rent. Okay. So this helps you get perspective on the zip code as well. And you can kind of go between whether, the for sale area, and see that in the desirable neighborhood, there's a lot more houses for sale rather than rent. And if you see a lot of houses for sale, that can be good or bad. That can mean that that can mean that the people that have houses there, maybe they don't like the neighborhood very much, or maybe the people who live there, maybe they're expanding their families, so that's why they're leaving because they want to get a bigger house somewhere else. So that might be the case. I mean, with a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, this person may be married, they may have kids, and the lady is pregnant. She might have, 2 kids already and be pregnant with a third baby, and she might be thinking that she wants to move to a bigger house with 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. So that's maybe why and stuff. But yes, there can be good things about houses being for sale in an area, and there being a lot of them because there's choices. But like I said, if you're going to buy a house, there's a lot involved in that. And in this video, I'm not really trying to address too much of that. But it's good to know what the area, to know if there's more houses for sale versus if there are more houses to rent in an area, like you guys see here. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and go back. Let's go back to our handy dandy Word document. So there's another thing you want to know. In addition to knowing where you want to live, like the specific area, you also want to know how much you want to pay for rent. So everybody has a different amount of income that they make, okay? And your income that you make is going to determine what you can afford, okay? So if you want to get a house, like I said, you're going to want to make sure that you can afford a house that is between, let's say, $750 a month all the way up to $1,000. I'm not going to say you need to make $1,000 a month necessary for rent payment, but you just need to know that that's the window of how much houses can cost. Now, in your area, it might be different than my area. That's the scale for housing prices in my area. But your area, the housing prices might be different. I mean, in your area, houses may start off at 500 and then go up to 1,000. So, when you look at the houses throughout the areas, you start to get a scale for how much houses cost, okay? And I would rather say that it's better for you to go for a house that's a bit more expensive than a house that's cheaper, because a house that's cheaper, is cheaper, it might not be in the kind of area you want to be in. It might be in a rundown area, so you want to make sure you find yourself in a good area. Now, the price of rent may not necessarily dictate the area, though. I found that out by my apartment that I had. So I lived in a great area. The amount of rent I paid was like $695 a month for an apartment, but the thing was the neighbors were the issue. And because the neighbors were loud, bougie, and crazy, even though it was in a great area, it can make you feel like it's a joke to pay your rent because you're just experiencing so much ridiculousness with loud people. And that might make you think that if you're having an unpleasant experience in an apartment, that it should be worth a lot less. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to say that. Remember, with paying rent, no matter how much the house is going to be that you're going to rent a month, okay? Remember, you're going to have to be able to have an income level where you can pay for 3 times the rent because that's what the landlord is going to be looking for you to pay, just so they can make sure that no matter what, you're going to be able to make your rent payment. Because not only are you going to be paying for rent, you're also going to be paying for bills as well. Okay. And I'm going to go into the utilities here too. So, for a house, like for the example of the house that I live in now, the utilities that you can have in a house can be gas, electric, sewer, water. Okay. And then I'm trying to think, I pay for internet, and then I don't pay for trash or anything. That's free. Okay. But you know, for some people, they may also have the utility that they may have to pay for homeowners. You know, like renters insurance, not necessarily homeowners insurance, but they may have to pay rental insurance for a house, and they may also have to pay for AC. Okay. And also with a house, you also want to check and make sure that when it comes to maintenance, that your landlord is covering it and you're not. Because if you have to pay out of pocket for maintenance, then maybe that's not the right house for you. Because maintenance costs for things can be a lot. That's why you want to make sure your landlord is covering the maintenance and stuff. You know, because there's life's expensive. There's a lot of things you got to pay for. And it's always good to have a good understanding of what you're going to be paying for in utilities. You typically find this out once you get the application for the house you want to rent when you're trying to apply for it. So definitely kind of look at the application and see. If the application doesn't say anything, definitely ask that landlord, the type of bills you'll be paying. Okay? All right. Now, let's also go to the next thing. So we're here. So we've already covered where to look. So I'm going to highlight this. So we covered where to look, know where you want to live. I was supposed to be highlighting this, but I didn't do that. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Awesome. Okay. And know how much you want to pay for rent. And then know the type of house you want to live in. So that's where we're at. Okay. I say that you want to know the type of house you want to live in because some people have a specific type of idea of the type of house they want to live in. There's different types of houses out there. Okay. Let's try to Google and see the type of houses out there just so you guys know what I mean. Types of houses. Okay, so it says there's 35 different types of houses. So let's just look at this picture. Let's look at something easy. Let's see if we can get something easy. Let's see if we get a big blow up, okay? So don't worry about that. Oh my goodness. I wanted a better picture. I'm gonna close out of this because I wanted something that actually told you guys what kind of house it was. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay. My gosh, where is it? Okay, they really messed this up. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm really sorry about that. Um, where in the heck? Okay, yeah, that's not what I mean. That's really not what I mean. I was not talking about that. Trying to see. I'm just doing this stuff sporadically. Um, no, that's not what I mean at all. Okay, let's go back. Man, I was really hoping that they just have something simple. They don't. Frivolous. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, this is good. This actually tells what I'm talking about. Okay. So it says this article's good. I'm glad somebody talks about it. Okay. So you guys can go to this website too if you want to. It tells you the types of houses that are out there. You can go to this website. It says nimbo.com slash the hyphen 10 hyphen most hyphen popular hyphen types hyphen of hyphen houses hyphen in hyphen the hyphen united lowercase hyphen states and then slash. Okay. So you guys can all go to this website if you want to as well. Or you can just type in if you want to. You can type in the 10 most popular types of houses in the United States. Okay. So here you go. This is a pretty house. So let's see what kind of housing types there are. Okay. So it says homes come in such a wide variety of styles that it's what makes them so interesting to look at and dream about. It's the American dream to own your own home. And choosing the perfect home can include choosing the perfect style for you and your family. Some of the styles of homes date back centuries old, and although many of the characteristics of a style of home may stay true to itself, a lot of the inside features are updated to fit today's technology and standard of living. You will see as you read below, there are some favorite styles that have remained at the top of the list of popularity of home buyers. So keep reading to see the top 10 most popular types of houses in the United States today. So that's what I kind of just read here. I don't know who that guy is. Okay, so here we go. Here is a ranch house. I'm going to try to make this a bit bigger so you guys can see. Ooh, pretty. Okay. So here you go, guys. Here's a ranch house here. It's beautiful. Here's a ranch house. Looks like there's a 3-car garage. Looks pretty cool. It says ranch style homes are extremely popular and are considered a great style of home for anyone, especially families. So that's the ranch house. I didn't read the whole paragraph because we're kind of trying to be brief here. Here we go. 2, bungalow or craftsman. Guys, just a short tip, I live in a bungalow right now, so you guys may end up renting a bungalow. It's not something I planned on. I didn't really know the house type until like after I moved in, so it's kind of cool and stuff. So you guys might find yourself in a craftsman or bungalow house. Let's see. Craftsman houses, which I also call a bungalow, focus on the use of natural materials, include stone, wood, and brick. My house doesn't have brick. Okay. I guess this is, I don't know if this is also a picture of a bungalow or not. Okay, this house right here, this is a Cape Cod house. So this is a Cape Cod house. I don't want you guys to get confused. Okay? Cape Cod house. Let's get past that advertisement. Cape Cod. Cape Cod homes originated in the 1600s and were crafted using Britain's thatched roof designed through the Cape Cod boasts steeper roofs and larger chimneys due to the harsher winter elements in the northeastern areas. Fascinating. I think this advertisement is so annoying. I mean, I know it's for HGTV, but it's annoying. Okay, guys, so let me go ahead and keep going forward here. So what I also want to do is I want to also explain for you guys that I want to go through this as well for a Victorian home, okay? So this is a Victorian house. It says the Victorian style home. So here's the Victorian house here. Don't pay attention to the advertisement. Here's a Victorian house. This is pretty immaculate. It looks pretty new to me when I think about Victorian, but wow. That's really cool looking. So Victorian. So the Victorian style home hails from the era of Queen Victoria during the era of 1830 to 1910. This is a regal looking style of home and was built more out of its look as opposed to its functionality of the home. Hmm, looks pretty cool to me. Oh, it's known as a Victorian house. It's known as a doll house. That's kind of cool. Here's the contemporary house here as well. Contemporary. Contemporary and modern are often interchangeable and used in this style of house. Typically, contemporary is a word used for homes that are built with a look of today's building styles and use energy efficient materials and products. So this is pretty awesome house. I mean, if you guys can get this house for like $750 a month for rent, that's a deal right there for a contemporary house. That's pretty cool, I think. Here's a colonial house. Um, colonial. So colonial homes are some of the most beautiful in architecture. Colonial homes span back to the 1600s and are often associated with early American settlers. The colonial style of home is most often recognized with windows and shutters that are equally spanned across the face of the house. A lot of windows to clean. Here is a English Tudor house. Let's see. Okay, so English Tudor, it says, here we go. As you probably guessed, the English style home comes from England and is a beautiful style of home that is best known for its multi-gabled roofs and steep roofs, but it is probably the decorative half timber framing that makes an English Tudor stand out the most. Has a little bit more about it, but you guys can read that if you want. Um, log home. So that's a pretty cool house. That's awesome. Little log home. That's awesome. Log homes originated as little cabins and typically were built as one room structures using no nails in their construction. However, they've evolved quite a bit over the years. This is pretty awesome. This is probably a house like you can kind of vacation to. I think this is pretty cool. I mean, if you can find this house in the middle of the woods, you know what I mean, then hey, you can rent this thing for cheap. Wow, just wow, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool for vacation, I think. Okay, this is a Mediterranean home. Okay, so just want to take a minute to look at that. That's very wow. Just looks very rich to me. It's very wow. The Mediterranean style home derived from the old um, hacienda style from the Mediterranean countries, and the characteristics are typically the same from home to home. Many Mediterranean houses boast red tiled roofs and have plastered surfaces. It also talks about you're also going to see arches in this home as well for this Mediterranean home. It seems like somebody that's like really wealthy or a celebrity or somebody like that's like really into art kind of live here. Finally, we're going to get to the 10th house type, which is a tiny home. So tiny homes, probably for somebody that's more of a minimalist, I think, that doesn't have a lot of stuff. All right, tiny homes have really boomed over the past recent years and were crafted for people who decided to adopt a minimalist type of lifestyle. They can be constructed of a number of different materials and range in square footage. Many are seen in 300 to 600 square feet range. Due to their small size, amenities will vary from kitchen appliances to the type of bathroom facilities installed in the tiny home. Storage space is often created in unusual places, and if your lifestyle is one that is on the go, get your tiny home designed on wheels so you don't have to stay put in one place. So I think that's cool. So if you guys want to check out this article about these types of homes, you definitely can. You can go on Google and then you just search for the 10 most popular types of houses in the United States, and it's on Nimbo.com. Okay. If you guys want me to, what I can go ahead and do is comment the link below for you guys if you are having a hard time finding this article. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our handy dandy Word document here. Okay. Next area we're going to talk about is you want to know if you're looking for a house to rent, you want to know how many bedrooms you want. And an easy way to do this is to base this off how many people will be living with you. If you're somebody where it's just going to be like you and your significant other and you want to rent a house, then you guys can probably rent a house that has one bedroom. But if you guys want to have more room to walk around in, you may want a house that has two bedrooms. Or if you're really into it, you may want to get a 3-bedroom house or something like that. If you want to rent out the other 2 bedrooms and then have a room for you and your significant other, but you just have to be that kind of person where, you're comfortable with other people living with you. Now, if you guys can afford to rent a place with 3 bedrooms, with your incomes and you don't need anybody else to stay with you, then by all means, just go for it. But I do want to just let you know that, knowing how many bedrooms you want can help you narrow down the type of, narrow down and find the kind of house that's right for you guys and stuff. Now, there's still the option of whether you want a new house or old house. Most people prefer newer houses, but I would say, be prepared to find a market of homes where homes are older. Okay, even if they look new, they might be old. If a house is new, then you may spend more to rent that place than if it were older place. Okay, so I just want to state that too. So yeah, base the amount of bedrooms you're looking for a place, base it off how many people are going to live with you. Okay, if it's a family of 4, then for a family of 4, then more likely than not, you may need to have a 4-bedroom house. If it's just, 2 people living in a house, I mean, you can get a 4-bedroom house if your income allows it. But again, remember the 3 times the rent thing too. But, I would say getting a house that's right for the amount of people that's going to be in a house is a smart move. Just so that you don't find yourself looking at houses that have way more space than you need. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and keep going here. All right. Our next topic we're going to talk about is the types of landlords you will find. So the way I know about landlords for rentals is that, like I told you guys, I don't even know if I said it because we did this video a few times here, but I have been in 2 apartments, and I lived in one apartment for 6 years, 3 months, the other one for 9 months. So for a total of 7 years, I lived in apartments, and then I recently moved into a house. I've experienced different types of landlords. Okay, so for a house, for my search on Zillow, it hasn't been too different. You still see there's different types of landlords. Most commonly, when you're on Zillow and you're looking for a rental, you're going to find yourself seeing landlords that are basically property management companies. These are basically companies that manage multiple properties, whether apartments or houses. And like if you have to, your landlord would be that particular company. So when I rented my first apartment, me and my fiance, we rented from a apartment management company, property company. And if we ever had any issues with our apartment, we would go to them and they would be our landlord. And there was like an office of people and things. There was one person in charge, but by and large, other people were there that we could kind of talk to. The thing about a property management company is that at least, they are going to have things online. They may be up to date more so with accepting online payments for rent and things. And have a team of people to do maintenance for you so people can come out and things. Doesn't mean they're always going to be on top of their game to do stuff, but um, at least they'll keep record of things a lot more thoroughly if they're a property management company, from my opinion. So, yeah. And then another type of landlord that you'll find on Zillow, which is not very common, but on Zillow, what you will find is that you can find listings for rentals for houses from independent landlords. Now, with these type of listings, I will tell you that it might be hard to reach that particular landlord because this landlord may have a life to themselves and a family and other obligations. And so their top priority might not necessarily be renting out that rental. It might be their life first and then other things. Another thing is if it's an independent landlord or person, regular folk that's renting out a place, then you never know if that landlord already has somebody handpicked to rent that place, or somebody, who's come to them already before looking for a place when they didn't have anything available. So you definitely have to kind of watch out for that. Some landlords may have a rental that they may give to someone in their family, specifically like if it's a young adult in their family and they're graduating from high school or going into college or whatnot, or they just got married and graduated from college, then they may give a rental to that young adult in their family, rather than someone who is not related to them. So I just want you to know that could be a possibility to look out for. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but it could. Okay. And an independent landlord, they could be nice, or they could be a slumlord, somebody that's just there to collect your money but not do anything for you. I've had that experience in my second apartment, and I can tell you guys about that experience if you want me to kind of talk about that as well. Another thing about an independent landlord, they may not be knowledgeable about what they're doing and all that, with respect to the type of rental they have, whether it's apartment or house, and they might be new to it. That's kind of an opportunity for you. If you are new to renting and stuff, to work with somebody that's kind of not a knowledgeable landlord, because they might let something slide about you that they wouldn't otherwise do if they were like more of an expert in the game with having rental property for like a house or apartment. And then also landlords that you might find for houses for rent or realtors. So you might have a realtor that can either they can be the landlord, or it could be something where this realtor could be they could be somebody that is representing the landlord, because the landlord might live out of state, but then that realtor is like that go-to person that you go to, when you have issues and stuff in a way. So that could be an option. That's something I'm familiar with because that's kind of what's going on with the house that I have right now, where my landlord lives out of state, but then we have a realtor that serves as kind of somebody local that knows the area and is there to kind of help us out and stuff. So we talked about that. Okay, we're almost done here, guys. We've got a little bit to talk about. Okay, so you guys might be asking, how do you express interest in a house? So on Craigslist, I showed you how to express interest in a home for rent. And I guess I'll just go back and show you one more time, just so you can see how to express interest. Let's go back to it again. Image, housing type, house. They search. Okay. Okay, if you wanted to express interest in this house, the $600 a month, okay, then the way you'd express interest, we're going to see. Click the reply button right here on Craigslist. And then the only way you can contact this person is that you send them an email. Now, if you send this person an email, they may or may not get back to you, and you might be waiting days on end, and you might not get any response. Another thing is depending on how long it's been listed, this house may have already been rented and the landlord just may have forgot to take it down. So you have to be careful with that. I knew somebody who was looking for a car. It was actually my fiance. I found a car on Craigslist and we thought it'd be great for him to buy. And he contacted the guy that had the car that we were kind of interested to come and take a look at. And then my fiance called the guy only to find out that the guy already sold the car and he just forgot to take the listing down. So with Craigslist, there can be some opportunities for you to miss some stuff. So I would say if you're going for a listing for a house, rent, definitely go for a listing that has a phone number, and be aggressive if it's a house that you really kind of want to get, and if you just see email, I would just say kind of bypass it. If it's been 10 days, I would just say the house might not be available anymore, especially based off how cheap this house is. It's $600 a month, 2 bedroom. So, yeah. So this is how you express interest. Like I said, you may or may not get a response back from the landlord who is selling this house. And the fact here doesn't say the name of the person, so I would kind of be concerned about that if I were you. So how do you express interest on Zillow? So if you want to express interest on Zillow, for example, I'm just going to pick another zip code. See if I can find a house. Right, nope. Let me see if I can find another one. That's another zip code I know of. Okay, let's just use this house, for example. Okay, so this house has been listed for 1 day. 25 people have been in contact. The house is 790 square feet. It's $1,000 a month. Okay, so how would you express interest on this house? How would you do it? Okay, so you express interest for a house on Zillow. What you do is you request a tour. And then what it's going to say here is going to ask you, when do you want to take the tour? So do you want to do it today on April 11th? Or do you want to do it tomorrow on April 12th? And if you drop it down, it shows you the days where they're going to be doing tours for this house. So you can choose one of these days here, okay? My advice is if you want to tour a house, the best time to tour a house would be on the weekend. That way, at least on a Saturday, you can see what the areas like on the weekend and things. And hopefully you won't have to go to work. I'd say choose a time you definitely won't have to go to work and stuff. And definitely give yourself time when you're touring a house for rent as well. You'll also notice you're going to have to put your first and last name, your phone number, your email address. What will happen is that Zillow is going to send you a message to your email box as a reminder, and that reminder may tell you like the landlord's information and things like that, and give you feedback about like when your tour is and stuff like that. So you want to definitely put that in as well. You want to put your first and last name so they know you're a real person. Okay. Another thing here too, the good thing is it shows the person's first and last name. For this listing, the person's name is Kevin Wilbanks, and the phone number here you see 314-728-2708. The good thing is at least you have the person's phone number. Even if you have the person's phone number, though, I wouldn't tell you to just go and call that person's number just out of the blue. Be respectful. I would say try to give the person a call in the morning, or see if you can text the person first before you call them to see if it's good. It's good manners to text the person and say, hey, I'm interested in a house that you have on Zillow. Is it okay if I give you a call about it? Because you never know what's going on with that person, and you don't want to call that person, late at night if they're like busy with their family or doing other things. So it's always good to have, some type of courtesy. If you want to and you're adamant, you can call, but if the person's mad on the other end when you call them, then you might lose on a house. So just kind of telling you there. But you can always call them in the morning, I'd say. I think that's respectful. Call them around a respectable time, like, maybe like 12 or 1 o'clock, in the afternoon. I think that's an okay time, you know. But you never know if they're going to be at, work or something. So texting, I think, is good first to do. And also with texting, you'll see if they get back to you. You know, if they don't text back, maybe they're not text savvy. So if you call them, that might be better as well. But if you text and then you call and they don't get back to you, I would say move on to the next house. Okay. Like I said, you can read the descriptions for a house and stuff too. And a good thing to look for is how long the lease term is for a home. Like this one has 6 to 18 months. And also it tells you what kind of deposit they're going to look for. And if you have to have a certain credit score, if you have to pay for a background check and things like that. So it's always good to take a look at some stuff. And also in Zillow, it has the response time, how long it takes somebody to respond back. Good thing here is maybe you could do this ask a question thing here first and respond here, and then they'll respond to your question. So that might be good to do before you give them a call as well, if you just have like a quick question that they can answer. If they never get back to you, that's never a good sign, whether through texting or a phone call or anything. If they never get back to you, move on to something else. Don't waste your time, especially if you're looking to get out of a place. Okay. All right. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is make sure you have a list of questions ready. So when you go and you walk through into our house, then you have some kind of conversation to have with the landlord. One of the things that I think is a really good question to ask when you're going to tour a house is ask if the person that's there at the house, ask if they're the landlord. You want to know if they're the landlord, because if they're the landlord, they're probably going to be a lot more knowledgeable about the house and things like that, and they can tell you when they first bought it, type of maintenance they've done, any kind of like upgrades and stuff. They can tell you about the neighborhood, different things like that. But the person that might be showing the house may not be the landlord, and they just might be somebody that shows the house and doesn't know anything about it. And you want to know that up ahead. One of the things you want to do is you want to find out who the landlord is, find their information. If you're really interested, after you walk through and things, you want to express interest as soon as possible. I didn't do that with the house that I'm in now. I kind of gave it a few days. But, when I thought about it and how fast houses move, I was like, you know what, I want to express my interest as soon as possible. And also, the apartment I was in was not a good fit for me or my fiance. So I was like, you know what, let's go and take a snowball's chance in hell and see if we can get it. And we did. So, there's questions like you want to ask. If you guys want me to tell you other questions that you can ask when you're looking at a house, I can definitely provide you with some questions to ask about the house you're looking into. You can come up with your own questions, but if you can't come up with anything, I can kind of supply you guys with some questions. It took me some time to come up with questions, but I think when you have questions to ask somebody that is showing the house, or like when you get to the landlord, then it shows you're more intelligent, you're more serious about a house rather than being somebody who walks through and you don't say anything and they don't think you're serious and they just think that you're just there to window shop rather than to really rent the place. And sometimes the person who's showing the house, whether they're a realtor or landlord, they may underestimate you and they may think you're immature. But when you come in there with those questions, if you look young and you have your questions, then they might take you more seriously with, you having questions and stuff. If they get annoyed and they don't want to hear what you have to say, with your questions and stuff like that, take note of that, move on to another house where somebody will be willing to answer your questions. Because if somebody is annoyed and don't want to answer your questions, they're not serious about renting you the place. Okay? So definitely comment below if you guys want me to give you guys a list of questions that you should ask when you walk through a house. I think it's really important to have that so that you look more serious when it comes to renting a house for the first time. All right, finally, I'm going to give you guys a brief explanation of the rental process for renting a house from my own experience. So, from my experience, in order to get the house that I and my fiance now rent, what we had to do is after we did a tour of the house, so I found the house that I now live in. I found it on Zillow. So I know some of you guys are interested, but yes, I found it on Zillow. I found it in the desired area that we wanted to be in. I knew the amount of bedrooms that I wanted in the house, which happens to be 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. And I kind of had the kind of logistics. There were some things that I did want in the house that I don't have. So I did want a dishwasher. We don't have that, but we're making it either way. Great thing is I think we have a washer and dryer, which I think we're really doing good with that because at least we don't have to go back and forth to a laundromat. You know, we can handle like someone getting the dishes, you know, with the sink we have. The dishwasher would be awesome, but it wasn't a necessity. It's kind of an extra thing. Maybe when we like buy a house, that might be something we strive for in buying a house, having everything. But renting a house, I think starting off, you should just kind of have an open mind for what you're looking for, and don't expect to rent a brand new house when you're first starting out. Okay. One thing I will recommend if you're going to be trying to rent a house, before you even start looking to rent a house, start building your credit first. Start doing that first because it's going to make it a lot easier. At least make sure that your credit score is above 600 before you start looking. Okay. You want to do that because it's going to make it a lot easier. Because when you come and look at a house, you may have the person who's showing the house and they may ask you what your credit score is because they're trying to screen people. I found that when I was looking into houses around my area, I found that a lot of the people that contacted me wasn't very often, but I found that as a means to screen you, they'll send you emails and they will ask you things like how many people are going to live in the house, what's your monthly income, because they're looking for you to make 3 times the rent, so they're really serious, okay? And then they're also going to ask you your credit score, okay? And you have to realize they're going to do that because sometimes you have people that are trying to screen people because they're trying to get to that cream. They're trying to get to those people that are actually desirable for what they're looking for, okay? But with some houses are not based off of credits. Some houses, they don't look at your credit as much as they look at your income. But no, they may take your income and credit in consideration. That's why you want to go and ask those questions because if you're looking for a house and you don't have good credit, and then you go and you talk to the person and they say they're basing it hugely off credit, you know your credit isn't good, then you might want to try to go find something else better for you. Okay, that might be looking more so for income rather than credit. Okay, you want to look for a house for rent where the people are willing to work with you with what you got rather than having people who are like looking for all these things for you to fulfill, you know, and you kind of get lost in everything and easily get kicked out of it because you don't meet every single solitary thing. Okay. So I just want to emphasize that you may have landlords that are trying to screen you out before you even get to walk in the door. It's the same way with a car these days. My fiance found this out that when he went to a car dealership for Toyota, he was going to look at a Toyota Corolla because he was interested in buying, a car, and so he's still interested in buying a Toyota Corolla. But either way, he went to the dealership and he thought that he can just go and test drive a Corolla, new one, right? And what happened is that he didn't even get a chance to do that because they were so hell bent on the credit score that he didn't even get a chance to even get in and drive it. Okay. So credit is something that matters. If you don't have any, it's a good time to build it. So you make sure you have the credit score you need to do stuff like buying, like buying a house or renting a car, or renting a house, or doing whatever it is that you want to do. Okay. I've even heard that your credit score matters to a job, but I would say take that with a grain of salt because with jobs, I don't think your credit score should matter. I think your amount of experience should matter and you wanting to do the job matter as opposed to like, your credit score, which has nothing to do with that. Of course, your work history should substantiate you getting the job, but your credit shouldn't to me. Okay. So let's see what else was the process as well. So you express interest in a house. You go tour a house, and I would say don't just tour one place and be sold in that one place. Tour other places. Okay. Tour other places that are houses that you're interested in. When you tour a house, definitely do a video of the house so you remember what it looks like. So when you're trying to decide between houses, you have a video of each so you can reference back to the specific house that you want to choose between and what it looked like on the inside. Because if you look at so many houses, they can start to look the same after a while. So you at least want to kind of be able to differentiate them so you can choose the right kind of house for you. Definitely on your phone, have enough storage space so you can keep the videos. Okay. And then have a computer where you can put them on so you can look at the videos when you feel like it. Especially if the videos are going to eat up your data and stuff like that, or in your phone and everything, storage space. So yeah. All right. So let's see. Another thing after touring, you got your video of the houses and stuff. Next thing is you're going to pick the house that you want to apply for. Okay. It's up to you how many houses you apply for. I will say that when you apply for a house, you are going to have to put a lot of information on the application for the house to rent. You will have to put your employment information. You're going to have to put out information about where you previously lived. The application is going to ask you for a rental reference. And if you have a bad, not a bad relationship, but if you have a relationship where your landlord is a slumlord and you're trying to move to another place and they have to give you a reference and things, and you're trying to decide whether or not to put them down as a reference, then you really have to weigh, like you have to weigh in the consequence of whether that's going to be in favor of you getting the place or not. That's why I said you need to have somebody that's going to work with you. Where with the landlord, you can ask, hey, if I don't have the best reference for from my previous apartment, is that going to deem me on getting the place? And they may say yes or no. With some places for houses I've looked at where I wanted to apply for, they did say that if your landlord is not able to give a rental reference, then you probably shouldn't even apply for that house because you're not going to get it. So that's something else to think about as well when it comes to rental applications. That you have to know that you got to put down all your information. You will have to put down the amount of income you make, as well as your significant other if they're moving in with you. You will have to probably undergo a background check as part of the application process, which would be $40 per person. If you're married, I think it's like $30 or something. Don't quote me. Um, and then you have to get your application. You have to do the background check and all that. And then you kind of just have to wait for approval and things and see if they accept you or not. There are some places where, like, if you're trying to get a house, a landlord may have multiple applications and they might just be trying to pick the best person based off of money that they can get as opposed to how good of a person you are. Okay. So you have to bear that in mind too. Like I'm saying, read the rental application and be aware of what it says so you know. And I would say don't just stay nailed down to one place. Look at other places, and if you have to, I would say apply to more than one place so at least you get one of them rather than just being sold in this one and you get denied for it. Okay. So that's kind of just my little bit about the rental process. Oh yeah, and also one of the things too is if you're applying for a house, you may have to put down your security deposit as a part of the application process, in addition to like the application fee and the fee for the background check. So you may have to do all of that as well. Your security deposit, maybe your month of rent, like 1 month of rent, or it could be more than that. I've seen situations with listings where I looked at and they said that you have to put down like you got to put down a deposit of like I think they said like 2.5 times the rent or something. I remember like they were saying like a security deposit was like $1,250 or something, and that was like I guess like 2.5 times the rent or whatever. And I was like, wow, it's quite a deposit, you know, to put down when I would think a security deposit should only be 1 month. So that's why I say definitely read through the descriptions to see if they gonna have like some slick shit on there where they're gonna say you gotta put down this big deposit. I haven't seen this one listing for a house where there was this landlord that said you had to put down a deposit of like $700 for a non-refundable fee, and he didn't even say what it was for. And as you probably know, I skipped that house. I was just like, for what? I'm not doing that, you know. And that wasn't even a security deposit. That was in addition to it. And he was talking about it was like for management and stuff, and I was like, no. Mm-mm. So yeah, definitely watch out for these, you know, what it says in these descriptions for these particular like rentals and things like that. Okay. So that's all I really have to say on how to find a house for rent. I went very thorough in this video, probably more than what you'll see in other YouTube videos, because I'm basing it off of actual information that you're not really going to find on YouTube. When you go on YouTube, you might find some videos. It's like 5 minutes or 7 minutes or 10 minutes, you know, of information, maybe a little longer, where they kind of make it brief or something about how to find a house for rent. But me, I want to be as detailed and as real with y'all as possible because I want y'all to know what I've learned so you can actually find yourself being able to get approved to rent a house rather than getting disqualified because you didn't have the information because the YouTube videos and the resources you looked at didn't give you that opportunity. Let's go ahead and look at this real quick here and see if I have YouTube up anymore. Um, I'm gonna go to YouTube real quick just to show y'all. Okay. Then I'm ready in this video. Okay, so it says how to find a house for rent. Okay, so here you go. When you look at results for how to find a house for rent on YouTube, you see rent a house or apartment in 3 easy steps. This video is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. You can tell that that video is really not going to really be anything that's going to help you at all. Okay. And it says great home buying, selling, investing tips. That really doesn't do much for you. This says this video, best real estate app 2018 for finding a home. That's pretty cool to show you for renting apps, maybe for a house, I guess, just so you kind of know. This I've never heard of some of these things like Home Snap and I think Realtor.com I've heard of and things, but that might be good for you to look into. Easy ways to find a cheap apartment in your area that has nothing to do with how to find a house for rent. So I think that's not really relevant to what you're looking for if you're trying to rent a house. Finding cheap houses. This looks like I don't know if this is a video about let me see what this is about.
All people are tax people.
How to find cheap houses, off-market properties where you can add value and start to own those as buy and hold real estate investors. That's today's show.
Okay, so as you guys saw what he said, This is about real estate investing. It's not about you being able to rent a house to live in. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about like with the YouTube here. They're not really talking about renting a house from the perspective of you actually trying to find a actual place. They're not talking about that. They're not being real about it. They're more so talking to landlords on YouTube in terms of like finding real estate property to rent to people like you. You know what I mean? So it's not really helpful. You'll find like landlords on here saying rental process mistakes you're making. Um, let's see.
How's it going, everyone? Matt Layton, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about rental application mistakes.
Okay, so that might be good. If you look into like rental property mistakes and stuff, that might be pretty good for you to look into there. How to easily find rent to own homes. Again, that's probably not what you're looking for. How to rent a home from $389 a month. Like I said, sounds kind of sketchy. Buy, rent. This guy, he's pretty legit. He's like a landlord. I've watched some of his video for Graham Stephan. I've watched some of his videos and stuff. But I would tell you guys, if you're trying to find out whether or not you should rent or buy a house, my advice, I'm gonna show you this book that I read, which helped me to determine whether or not to rent or buy a house. So I'm gonna just show you this book that I bought, that I read mostly through, but it put my fiance to sleep. There we go. So here's the book. I'm gonna go on Amazon here. Oh, it even has a Kindle edition. You go back here. It has a Kindle edition for the book, which is called Rent versus Own. So here's a book that let's go into the book real quick. Here's the book that I read called Rent versus Own. It says a real estate reality check for navigating booms, busts, and bad advice by Jane Hodges. This book was really good for me. It really helped me get perspective about what I wanted to do at this point in my life. I mean, I was in an apartment I didn't like. I was trying to find a way to get out for me and my fiance. And this book really put me in perspective and helped me determine that as opposed to buying a house, like I heard from other people, it was better for me to rent a house first to kind of get used to it and see what it would be like first. And then in the future, then I should buy a house once I had like better credit and things like that. And I liked it because in this book, it really breaks down things. So even if you think you're sold on owning a house, it really outlays the steps you're going to go through and things with buying a house. And it even talks to you about some of the things that may get you um, rejected from buying a house and result in you renting a house first and things. And it talks about the difference between some people who are team own versus team rent, where some people will know they want to own, and that's where they want to go. But then it talks about people who've gone through the experience of trying to go and buy a house and then the experiences that happened to them. Some people ended up with houses, which was great. Some people didn't. And it also talks about some people who rented and then they find themselves with buying a house. It has like different things. And the thing I really liked about Jane Hodges' book is she talked about the fact that when you get into a house, then you'll have different utilities than what you would have if you were renting. And for people in an apartment, my apartment people who are watching this video right now, in a house, you're gonna have more utilities to pay for. So at the apartment that I had recently, that I left, um, in that apartment, it was an all electric apartment. So basically, that was the utility that was paid for. I didn't have to pay gas, which was awesome. And then we paid for internet, we paid for cell phones, food, rent, and then let me think. There's anything else we paid for? I don't think we really paid for anything else. I think we had extra money to kind of do whatever we wanted to do and stuff. I would say you definitely want to have extra money if you're in an apartment because you might have people who are loud and obnoxious and stuff. You might live in a great area and everything, but you may want to get away from your neighbors and stuff. If they're stomping above your head, or they're stalking you, or walking past you, and things like that, devoting way too much attention to you, and just getting on your nerves to the point you want to move. Having extra money is good because you may want to get you a hotel. But at a hotel, you may have an experience where you still there. You might not have people that are quiet either. So it's probably best for you if you want to do anything. You might want to put your time into trying to get a house. My advice, if you want to rent a house, you definitely want to start saving up for a house. So devote a portion of your paycheck and then save that up in the bank so that you'll at least have enough for, let's say, like a security deposit or something for a house. At least you have that walking in and you look better. Um, like if you're going to look for a house and you say to the person showing the house, oh, well, I have money saved, for a house and everything right now, so, if I get approved, then I can put down this much money. You look a lot better that way than if you come in and you ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that can really have the landlord look towards you if you had the money versus if you don't have the money. You know what I'm saying? Because you may have somebody else that might have great credit and everything, but they ain't got the money put down. But if you ain't got, say you ain't got good credit, but you got the money to put down, that might make it so that they looking at you rather than that other person. You know what I'm saying? Whereas everything perfect except the money. So you want to tip the balance to you where you get a house that you want. But definitely recommend this book, Rent versus Own by Jane Hodges. It definitely is going to give you perspective. It's going to have a lot of different concepts in it. Has a lot of information. It can put you to sleep. But I will tell you this. If you're trying to get out of a bad situation, like an apartment, and you're trying to get out and you're in a bad lease where you were, somebody swindled you out of your money and they lied to you and things like that, and you want to know whether you need to buy or rent, you don't want to make the mistake of buying a house and getting into something you're not aware of. So you want to get into this. It can be a lot of heavy information. I would say if you're the type of person that you can't take a lot of information, hey, just read, maybe 5 pages a day. You know what I'm saying, of the book. And you may take you a slow time, but at least by the time you get through this book, at least you'll understand a lot more. And you may have to do research to learn about things, but Jane does a really great job of really making things seem a bit easy, even though there's like things that I didn't really understand, but it really gave me the idea that it helped me cement the fact that yes, I wanted to rent a house before buying because I was in the best position to rent rather than buying. In the future, I want to buy a house, but I think, like the book says, people who rent, they're more flexible and they can get up and leave as opposed to people who are buying houses stuck. You know what I'm saying? But everybody has a different opinion. And this book talks about it. It even talks about how, you'll have people who try to sell you on a house and things like that and tell you what you want to hear and things, but it's not really for your best interest. So there's other things like that. So definitely, if you want to get Jane Hodges' book, you can find it on Amazon here if you want to. I got it through eBay. I'm just going to lastly show you eBay, the prices for this book if you want to check it out as well. Okay, as you guys can see, here's Jane Hodges' book right here. You can find it on eBay. Pretty cheap. That makes it look scary for a price, but you can actually find a book on here. My recommendation, if you guys want to just get the book without having to sit here and worry about shipping, you go on this side right here on the left side. You're on eBay. Under delivery options, you're going to click free shipping, and eBay is going to refresh, and then it's going to show you options, not this one, but like this option right here is going to show you that you can get this Rent versus Own book for $4.03, free shipping, free returns. But my books, I never return books. I usually look at eBay as a resource first because it's a cheap place to get books. And then you can kind of get the kind of information you're looking for here. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed for all books, but at least some books. But see, you get it for $4.03, $5.05, $4.20. Book I got, it was like $4.20, I think, for the book I got. But for for this book is really great. This book, I think this is just kind of trash, not really a real book or anything like that. So for what you're looking for, yeah, it's not really. All right, so here's the books. You guys can check it out on eBay. As you guys see, I found it here, so you guys can definitely check this out. Okay. All right, so I really want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. This video has been about how to find a house for rent. I kind of went through a lot more than I thought I was going to talk about, but I feel like the more information you have, the better. So at least you can make the best decision for you. In this video, we talked about where to look when you're trying to find a house for rent. We talked about knowing where you want to live, knowing how much you want to pay for rent, knowing the type of house you want to live in, knowing how many bedrooms you want. I talked to you guys about the types of landlords that are out there when it comes to renting a house, how to express interest in the rental home, have your list of questions so when you go into our house, you can ask the questions you need to. And then next thing is I talked about a brief explanation of the rental process, and I also talked to you guys about this book, Rent versus Own, which is really helpful to help you decide on if you're in an apartment or whatnot, or if you live at home with your parents. It helps you decide whether you want to go out and buy a house or whether you want to rent a house. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys. If you have any comments or questions, comment them below for me. Thank you so much.